Hello, everyone. This is Marty Wuttke at the Infinite Potential Institute. We're doing a series of short discussions on what we call the pillars of health. So the first one we did was on sleep, and we did a follow-up to that because there was many questions. So today's topic is nutrition, and it's a very large topic because of various different applications. So I will cover as much as I can and sort of make suggestions in this short video, but just be aware there's a lot to this, and we may be doing a more extensive talk later on in regard to nutrition. So there are, just like with sleep, there are basic rules in regard to nutrition that pretty much apply to just about everybody. And beyond that, the appropriate nutritional guidelines can be individualized. So let's just talk about the basics, which is very simple, very obvious for the most part. The food that we ingest becomes a part of us. Every time we take a mouthful of food, a conversation begins in our digestive tract, starting in our mouth and our tongue, down into the stomach, and then eventually into the small and large intestine. But as the food passes through, it triggers various nerve endings and starts this process of communication or conversation. And depending on our genetics, we may do good with some food, not so good with other food. These things can be determined, and I'll talk about that later. But firstly, the basic issue is that food should be whole, fresh, and as non-processed as possible. As soon as we put something in a can or powder it or reconstitute it, that starts the processing problem, and that begins to take some of the benefits away from the foods we're eating. So if we eat fresh fruits and vegetables, nuts and grains, if we're not allergic to grains, then they should be as fresh as possible. And according to where you live, if it's possible as well to get organic. There is a difference between organic and inorganic food. And we really need to avoid the pesticides and some of the other substances that get into the food chain. So fresh fruits and vegetables should be a large part of our diet. If we don't have any blood sugar issues, the fruits are okay. But if we have blood sugar issues, we have to be a little careful about eating the sweet fruits, like strawberries and citrus fruits and so on. They can be a little too sweet and throw our blood sugar into sort of a roller coaster ride if we're not careful. But as far as liquids go too, we should avoid things that contain large amounts of sugar. And speaking of that, sugar should be avoided for the most part, if we can. It is a substance that is really, we weren't meant to ingest this pure refined carbohydrate. It creates a lot of problems in our physiology. So sugar is a real danger. And the other one that I talked about on the last edition was alcohol. Alcohol is not a good thing to consume during a meal. Alcohol will slow and actually inhibit the digestive process. So fresh, whole fruits, grains, nuts. If you're a meat eater, then of course the meat should be also fresh. And as a general rule, most people are told to avoid too much red meat or pork, but if you do occasionally have to eat red meat, then it should be from cattle that are grass-fed and raised in the open. So ideally, we should eat within an hour or so of getting up in the morning. The meal depends on individual chemistry. Some people need more protein, some people need less. Some people need more fat, some people need less. These are all things that can be determined by testing. The second meal, you may have heard this, the lunch should be the largest meal of the day. And then at dinner time, a rather small meal, simply because that food needs to digest before we try to go to sleep. So those are sort of the general rules, the general ideas that in themselves, if you follow them, you may find your, your digestion, your elimination, and so on improving. But beyond that, and this is all relatively new, there's a new science that's been developed using the genetics. And now we have the data where we can analyze a person's blood, a person's stool, a person's saliva, and determine the appropriate amount of micronutrients, which are the vitamins and minerals, and macronutrients, the protein, carbohydrates, and fat. And these can all be very specifically determined, even down to specific vitamins that you might need because of your genetics, you don't process correctly. We hear about all these different diets, the ketogenic diet, the paleo diet, the Atkins diet, and there's no one size fits all. These work for some people, for other people, they don't. And the way that you can determine that is by testing this genetic component I was telling you about. Now, I have no interest in these companies, but just to let you know what they are. The first one is very good. It's out there. It's quite popular now. It's called Viome, V-I-O-M-E, Viome. And they send you a test kit and you take the test, and then you get a full profile of what foods you should eat, what food you should avoid, and so on. The other one is called Genopalate, G-E-N-O-P-A-L-A-T-E, I believe. That's another one. They take, for instance, they take the 23andMe genetic testing. And from all of that, they can determine the appropriate diet for you. And again, all the way down to the appropriate vitamins and minerals to take. Again, there's no one size fits all. We're all individual. We all have different genetics. So if we have the time and the interest, it's a good idea to take a look at our specific needs and follow those. So that's all I'm going to say about this right now. I will probably come back with a part 2 with maybe a few more details, but this will do for now. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day, a great week, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.